Good morning, everybody. You're very welcome here to Dunnery Forest Park. We're here this morning to officially launch the master plan for Dunnery Forest Park. There's a box of documents here. One thing I'll say, this is your plan. Make sure you bring a copy, we want to see it going out to the community here. My name is John Donoghue. I'm Chief Officer of Cavan LCDC and work with Cavan County Council. And I'll act as MC for this morning. We have 3 speakers, so I'm going to talk first. Then our local councillor, Councillor Clifford Kelly, will speak. And then we'll finish with Minister Heather Humphreys to speak. You're all very welcome here. This is a very special place, as I'm sure you'll all agree, and it's a wonderful asset both for Kingscourt and the surrounding area. I think we already seen this morning, just when we were standing around, the amount of people that are using the park, and that's what we want to see. So this master plan that I have here, this is the blueprint for this forest park for the next 5 to 10 years. What it contains is actions, number of projects, and a number of themes around the protection, I suppose, of this asset. So how this came about was this was funded through Leader Cooperation Project. We worked with our partners in Monaghan County Council, and delighted that Dimna Condren, the Tourism Officer for Monaghan County Council, is with us this morning. Dimna and Joanne Hayes, who's our Tourism Officer in Cavan County Council, worked on this project. So it was funded through Leader Cooperation, which is funded through Minister Humphreys' department. And what we wanted to do was to set the vision for the future and the plan. So something that was critically important in that was the public consultation process. Now, sometimes ourselves in Cavan County Council go out to public consultation, we don't get a lot of feedback. This was completely different. The first public consultation we had, I think it was something like 300 or over 300 responses to it, which was fantastic. So what that allowed us to do, 380 responses to the first public consultation. So what that does is that gives us confidence that what's in this plan has been tested with the public. It's what the public want. So there was a second round of public consultation then, and basically what that was here's what we think you said, or here's what we heard. Did we get it right? And we refined it. And there was 220 responses to that. And I remember the night, it was in the community centre in Kingscourt. You couldn't hear yourself talk with the rain coming down on the roof. It was that bad of a night, and we still had 220 people that went to the trouble of either coming out and filling the survey. So that's great. So the first thing in that master plan, as I say, is number of actions. So what we heard from the public was really strongly, and one of the great things about it was there was a lot of young people that came and users of the park. That was the idea. If any of you were here at the first public consultation, James Hennessy, who's here, I'm delighted to welcome this morning from the Paul Hogarth Company. They completed this master plan. They were very specific to us about setting up here in the park. So what James done on the first round of public consultation was actually stop people and ask them. So it was people that knew the park, were invested in it, and that was fantastic. So one of the first things we heard was the park needs a natural play area. And I'm delighted to say that, and I know Clifford's going to talk about this as well, we've already secured funding, again, from Minister Humphreys' department of over €400,000 for the creation of that natural play area. And delighted again, James and his team and the Paul Hogarth Company are on board, and we're planning that that'll be open this year. So Minister, you'll be back here again for that official opening. So that's an idea of, because sometimes people say to us, look, is that going to sit on the shelf? It looks lovely. Is that going to sit on the shelf in Cavan County Council or in the department? It's not, it's in action. So some of the other things we heard was around improvements to trails. Accessibility, hugely important. And we will be working on that, and you'll be getting applications, Minister, on that. Some of the things, and myself as a local here, I wouldn't have seen this, and this is the beauty of bringing people in that don't know the area, fresh set of eyes. The entrance. actually the amount of people that drive past the entrance to the park, as a local and someone from Kingscourt and around, you don't see that anymore. So again, that's something we want to do. We want to enhance the visual appearance of it, excuse me. So, as I say, the crucial themes, again, listening to the people that are invested in the park. What we heard was protecting the asset and the natural environment. Nobody wants a theme park with bus loads of tourists coming, you know. That's not what we want. We hear all the time, and Joanna's constantly telling me about sustainable tourism, you know, and protecting the asset. Another thing was signage and interpretation. So that's around the whole theme of letting the park talk. It's beautiful, you know, let it speak for itself and be subtle. You know, there's some great history in the park. Just interpret that in a very sympathetic way. Another theme that came out was bringing the town to the park. So this is a wonderful asset for Kingscourt, and it's about that linkages. And again, with funding a couple of years ago, again from the Minister's Department, we put a trail from Kingscourt at the back of the GA pitch, so right from the community centre where all the parking is, at the heart of Kingscourt, right down here off trail, and you can come into the park off road. Now there's one last stretch along the avenue. We have the funding in place to take that trail so you can walk safely, which is massive, you know. I'm spreading the word about the park and promoting it. And again, I don't want to cut in on Clifford's speech and that, but we're very lucky, another asset we have here, which will be open within the next 12 to 18 months, is a greenway the whole way to Navan. That's fantastic. If you're bringing that population base that's in Navan to come to Doonery Forest Park, you can imagine, you know, the benefit, A, for here and also for Kingscourt. You know, that linkages, that's huge, that's economic. You can already see down the road, there's, I think, about 5 to 6 kilometres of trail open in Nobber. There's 2 coffee shops have opened directly as a result of that in Nobber. So it's an exciting time for the park, and that's why this master plan is hugely important in terms of the development and that roadmap for the next 5 years. Before I hand over to our next speakers, I want to make sure, I want to thank some people. First of all, I want to sincerely thank all the people, the local people that came out and engaged with this master plan and the public consultation. As I say, it's your plan for the future development of your amenity, and that's crucially important. I also want to thank our partners in Monaghan County Council, I've already mentioned there, that worked with us. I want to sincerely thank Cavan County Local Development, who guided us through the process. Terry's here today, and John Toland in particular. And anyone that knows Leader, it's fantastic funding, but it can be complicated and you need help. And John had great patience and forbearance, I should say, as well, in guiding us through that process. So that's fantastic. And also acknowledge Joanne and her tireless work on this and promoting this asset. I also want to thank Culture, the owners, and manage this park on a day-to-day basis. And we've worked tirelessly with them in terms of upgrading the park. The toilets here got a facelift last year, and that's fantastic. That's important as well, having them amenities there. And the upkeep of the park. And again, to mention Terry and Cavan County Local Development. Some years ago, we were getting some criticism, you know, about the park and the upkeep of it. It was getting tired, it was run down, there wasn't the resources. So we looked at new ways of doing it, and working with Terry and Culture through the Rural Social Scheme. We now actually have people in the park on that scheme on a day-to-day basis, helping with the heavy lifting with Culture, because they, like a lot of organisations now, don't have the people they used to years ago. So they're looking after and taking great pride in maintaining the park. And I think you can see that, you know, I haven't spotted litter here, you know, it's fantastic. I also want to thank Kingscourt Community Development Association. They host them Rural Social Scheme workers who look after the park. The Development Association were key to us as well in terms of this whole process, you know, promoting it locally, getting the word out. Also the logistics around the public consultation process, making sure that people bought into it. And I also want to thank them. I think you'll all agree, fantastic setup here this morning as well. I think they were all here earlier, very early this morning I should say, getting the marquee up to make sure we stayed dry. So just thank you for that. I mentioned the Paul Hogarth Company as well for all their work on it and their continuing work on the natural play area. I'm coming to the end, it's okay. Once you start me, sometimes it's hard to stop me. I want to acknowledge the elected members of Cavan County Council for the support on these projects, particularly in providing match funding. It's fantastic to get government grants. They really do make game changers, but we have to go to our members and ask them, look, can we put some match funding towards these? And they've never said no to us yet, so I just want to acknowledge that. Also want to acknowledge the Minister and the Department officials providing the funding. Already, I think, just in the course of this speech, and it was nearly casual, 3 projects. I think that's 600,000-700,000 worth of funding, you know, from the Minister. So I want to sincerely thank the Minister for that. And, you know, it's great to have this opportunity to showcase to the Minister and officials the impact of these schemes on the ground and the difference they are making. So thank you. And before I hand over, sorry, I should have done this at the outset. I just want to pass on a couple of apologies. People that couldn't make it here this morning. Our Cathaoirleach Councillor John Paul Feely and our Chief Executive Tommy Ryan are both in New York. They would have loved to been here this morning, but couldn't make it. And also our Director of Services, Brendan Jennings, passed on their apologies. So I'm going to hand over to Mike now to Clifford. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Minister Heather Humphreys, Deputy Brendan Smith, Chairman of the Municipal District, Councillor Aidan Fitzpatrick, Councillor Carmel Brady, Councillor Paddy MacDonald, Councillor Val Smith, and Councillor T.P. O'Reilly, the Reverend Father Jerry, and the Terry Highland, who is the Chief Executive of the Local Development Company, and of course our own man from the town, the Chief Officer, Cavan County Council, John Donoghue here. Ladies and gentlemen, I am delighted to welcome you all here today to Dununree Forest Park to launch this master plan for Dununree Forest Park. In 2021, this master plan was commissioned by Cavan County Council on behalf of Leader Local Action Group in partnership with Coillte. Through Leader funding, this cooperation project was undertaken with Monaghan County Council as partners. The master plan presents a vision for the future development of Dununree Forest Park, and it also identifies improvements required to further enhance the park. If the pandemic taught us anything, it was to appreciate local amenities and the use of outdoor spaces, and I strongly believe that this master plan set out a clear roadmap for the future development of the park. Dununree Forest Park is very close to the hearts of the people of Kingscourt and the surrounding areas, and we take enormous pride in the park. This was clearly seen in the amount of responses to the public consultation process and the time people took to engage with the process, and the final master plan is much stronger for that. I want to acknowledge all those that took part in the consultation process and offer a sincere thank you to all. We have already seen significant investment in the Forest Park. In 2018, funding from Minister Humphreys' department under the Outdoor Recreational Infrastructure Scheme provided a recreational trail from the town to the Forest Park, and in 2022 we received additional funding of 414,000 under the hours for the creation of a natural play area in the park, and this project will be complete in 2023 and will further enhance the park. This, along with the completion of the Greenway to Navan along the old railway line, will be a game changer for this amenity and also for Kingscourt, which is perfectly positioned to reap the benefits of the Greenway. I want to again acknowledge Minister Heather Humphreys and her department officials for providing the funding towards the schemes such as this, and I am delighted that we have the opportunity today to showcase to the Minister and her officials the impact of these grant schemes in the local community. I also want to acknowledge the work of Keilse in improving the park, and in particular the recent upgrade of the toilet block. I want also to acknowledge the work of the Rural Social Scheme, who maintain the park and take enormous pride in their work. And I am sure you can see the benefits of this as you enjoy this beautiful forest park. I want to thank John and Brian, who came down here early this morning to put up the little tent here and to prepare for the launch today, and say a special word of thanks. They work on the community employment scheme. Again, Minister, I want to sincerely thank you for taking time off from a very busy schedule to be with us here today, and again to thank you for the funding, and just to say, as usual, we're always delighted when you come with the Porsche open and ready to facilitate us. And with the way things are going around here, the Porsche will want to keep growing, Minister. And when you come near Kingscourt, we'll be asking you to keep it open. So again, Minister, we're delighted to have you here again, and thank you very much. Gormila Mahaga.
Thanks very much, Clifford. Deputy Brendan Smith, Cahirlook of the Ballyborough Cootehill Municipal District, Councillor Aidan Fitzpatrick, and of course we have Councillor Carmel Brady, Paddy, Val, TP and Trevor. And then the Reverend Jerry, and of course the Chief Officer John Donoghue, a native here from Kingscourt, from Cavan County Council, and then the CEO of Cavan County Local Development, Terry Hyland, representatives from the Kingscourt Community Development Association, and of course the consultants that are here as well, and also members of the local community in Kingscourt, and a special mention to Joanne Hayes and to Dibna Condra from Monaghan County Council. So really just to say good morning everybody. It's nice to be here, and it's when you're just sitting here in the park, you see how wonderful it is, the park, the facilities that are here, and how well used it is. And you see people running, they're walking their dog, they're out for a jog, and they really are enjoying it. So it is a wonderful it's a wonderful facility and amenity that we have, and it's the sort of project that really goes to the heart of what we're about in the Department of Rural and Community Development. It's about our rural future. It's about enhancing and upgrading and continuing to invest in our parks and in our walkways and in our greenways as well. And it is making a difference to people's lives. And it's spaces where families can come, and it's spaces that help improve not just our physical health, but certainly our mental health. And I remember visiting Doonaree in July. It was only last year, along with Councillor Clifford Kelly, and we officially opened the new recreation trail, and that of course is a great addition. And the trail got 180,000 from my department's outdoor recreation scheme, and that's a scheme that's very, very popular, and it has made a huge difference to facilities right across this whole region, because we're investing in that Nobber Greenway as well from my department. I had the honour of 2 years ago opening a stretch of it outside Nobber, and it's coming all the way here, which is going to make an awful difference, because then it can go on head on into Monaghan, and it really will be a great asset when it's finished. So then, of course, then as was mentioned, there's 451,000 for the off-road access and the development of the natural woodland play area. So we look forward to that being worked on and completed in due course. I think he said 2024, is it? That'll be finished. So that'll be another asset to this park as well. So I did a bit of counting there. So all in all, now you're doing rightly in Doonary. 630,000. God, as I said to somebody one day, Clifford, you'd clean me. No money for anything else. But thank goodness. We continue to provide funding for these things, and I just want to acknowledge my Oireachtas colleague, Deputy Brendan Smith, for the support that I get when I'm looking for more money for rural Ireland, because sometimes when you're in government you have to make hard decisions, and then these are the nice days, but I know that I can count on the support of my government colleagues to back me when I need help. So just in relation to the master plan itself, I want to commend everyone involved in developing this excellent piece of work. And can I just say, the idea that you stop people in the park, that's excellent, because nobody wants to go to a meeting these days, everybody's busy lives, but to stop them and ask them what they want, I think that's a really good way to engage with the public. Maybe we should be using that ourselves in terms of the local authorities. We're always talking about consultation and bottom up, but actually stopping people and asking them what to think is not a bad idea at all, and it has worked well here. So I really want to say well done to Joanne and to Dimna. When Cavan and Monaghan work together, it's powerful. And I love to see them working together, as you know. So well done, and it's lovely to see you here, Dimna. I know it's a Saturday morning, and your daughter's with you as well, so we promised we wouldn't keep her too long. And the same for John's son. He'll not want to be staying too long either, unless you're out walking or running. So I was very pleased to provide the funding of 30,000 under the Leader programme, and it's great that Terry's here as well. And this master plan will help you continue to build on the success that you have here. It gives you a pathway forward. You see exactly what you want to do, and as I said, you buy in from the local community. I want to thank the chairman of the LAG, Brendan Jennings, I know he's not here, and the implementing partner, Breffni Integrated, for your vision and your cooperation in developing and delivering this really worthwhile master plan. I want to give a special mention, of course, to Councillor Clifford Kelly. I know that Kingscourt's very close to your heart, Clifford, and indeed I was delighted to open the new trail with you last year, and I know you're very proud of how Doonary has developed with the support of government funding. So all I can say is you just need to keep the applications coming in, and in fairness to Cavan and to Monaghan, they're very good at getting the applications in, so let them keep coming. And so really just thank you once again for inviting me to the launch of this plan. And can I just say to the Rural Social Scheme workers, well done. They're up there in the background, and thank you for your work and for keeping the park in the pristine condition that it's in. So I hope you enjoy the rest of the weekend, and if you want to go for a walk now, there's plenty of time. It's a Saturday, and thank you very much. Go Mila Mahagan.